Welcome to ReThink You, bringing you ideas, inspiration, and motivation to start living the life you were created to live. Here is your host, author, trainer, speaker, and coach, and founder of ReThink You, Kim Lovings.
Well, welcome back to the ReThink You podcast, where we listen to stories of success and people who make things happen. Today, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Judy Hoberman, who is an award-winning international speaker, best-selling author, trainer, and leading authority on women in leadership. With over 3 decades in business, Judy combines wisdom and humor with her behavior shaping insights, and she impacts audiences as well as her one-on-one executive coaching and mentoring. And I know for a fact, having worked along Judy as a colleague, that she's just amazing. You're going to hear some great stuff today. And, men and women lead, sell, manage, and recruit differently. And Judy is the master at improving performance and company culture, empowering both genders to better support each other's successes in more productive ways. So what I love is that Judy's mission is to help one woman a day by following an important philosophy. Women want to be treated equally, not identically. So Judy, I love that statement. I've shared it. I've told many people about your work since we were blessed to have met. And I'm sure that there's a story behind that. So why don't you tell us the story that took you down the path of what you're doing right now?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Kim. I'm really excited and I really appreciate the opportunity. My story started, a wise woman told me to go back and think about something that happened to you when you were 4 or 5, because that is going to take you where you are today. And when I thought about that, I thought, I can't remember anything that really happened back then. And then it hit me. Literally and figuratively. I grew up in New York and my brothers were building a hot rod and I wanted to see what was going on. And every time I would go to look, my father would take me by the ponytail and pull me up and say, girls don't do that. Girls don't do that. Girls don't do that. So when he would walk away, I'd go right back in, and it happened a few times, back and forth, back and forth. Well, the last time I got really close because I really wanted to see what was happening. And when I put my head down to look, I got a hammer in the cheek. Now, of course, everybody cringes when they hear that because you know what happens when you cut your cheek. There's lots of blood that comes out. But that wasn't what scared me. What scared me was what my father was going to say to me. And of course, what he said to me was that I wasted everybody's time and I never listened and all those kind of things. So when I go back to that stage of my life telling me girls don't do this and girls don't do that, what do I do now? Girls do this and girls do that. So that's the backstory. But what I do is I make sure that I provide the tools and the environment to create connections and almost like an environment for greatness, so women can really thrive with the tools that they have inherently and also the tools that we can provide so that they can do their absolute best, whether it's in sales or in leadership. And my mission is to help one woman a day. So people will say, well, why not 10? Why not 50? Why not 1 million? Because one woman a day exponentially is a lot of women. And going for my tagline is women want to be treated equally, not identically, is I've always worked with men. I've been male-dominated industries my entire life. So we don't want to be men. You don't want us to be men. We don't want to be men. It's confusing. So if we can just create the same opportunities, whether we create them or men create them with us, why not give us those opportunities and then let us fly? And I'm not saying that just because you're female, you should be, awarded every single position. I'm saying that if you are the right woman, qualified woman, why not give us the same opportunities? So that's really kind of the backstory and the overview and, how it all works.
Wonderful, Judy. Thanks for that. And I know that you had some great life lessons along the way in your career. And I know that I have career women listening to this call or this podcast, and I know that they're going to benefit from hearing some of your examples of how you navigated that male world. And as I reminded somebody recently, I said, I aged myself, but I said I was in management. I was the first woman in management, and I was constantly faced with that glass ceiling. And there were things that women could do or not do, and you were treated differently. So I think there's many women who've walked that path. So tell us some of those lessons that you've learned in your career and how that's continued to fuel what you're doing, including your books.
So one of the lessons that I've learned is that you have to really trust yourself. You really have to know who you are. And continuing with the story about my father, at one point in my life, he told me that I was never going to amount to anything because all I was pretty, and started enrolling me into a beauty contest. And that was not who I was, and still not who I was. And I always thought I might be cute, but I was never beautiful. And that's how he kept seeing me. So people say, oh, that's so nice that he thought that about you. But the truth was, he didn't think I was going to amount to anything. So I say you have to believe in yourself. You have to take the internal chatter and you have to kick it out. You have to rewind the tapes that are going around, all the time in your brain, and turn them around to something that you can support yourself with. And if you can't do it yourself, you find somebody else. So I always say, believe in yourself. But the other thing I always say is that women want to be everything to everybody. And when we can't be, we feel like if I create this niche that I like and I want to work over here, I'm eliminating the rest of the population. Well, if you try to be everything to everyone, you're no one to anyone. So you have to focus. You have to decide who it is that you want to play in your sandbox with, and then concentrate on that particular group of people. But then my last lesson is always about being kind. You have to be kind. I don't care what's going on in the world. I don't care what's going on in your life, across the street or anything else. You have it inside you to be kind. When you're kind and you give of yourself, you're generous, amazing things happen. Magic, that's where the magic happens. And so I know that right now you're not, not a lot of people are out being interactive with other people. But every time I would be outside and I would see somebody that I didn't know, I would go right up to them and tell them something that I admired about them, or something, maybe it's what they're wearing, or maybe it's the way they carry themselves. And I would just say, you are so beautiful, or I love that color on you, or something. And you get this look of either shock, or they look around to see if you're talking to them. Because what I know is not everybody hears kind words every day, because I obviously didn't hear that every day. And when somebody says something kind to you, it's a different way of feeling. So I'm not sure who gets the most out of it, the person that says it or the person that receives it. But all I know is that being kind doesn't cost you anything at all except your heart. And I do believe that that is something that a lot of women in leadership and a lot of executive women, they know this. And sometimes we're afraid to show it because it makes us look weak or whatever. I'm not sure what it does, but I know for me, I am always very kind and very generous, because I do believe that I missed out on that.
That's powerful. And in fact, I wanted to draw attention to something you said there was, the fact that women feel they have to be all things to all people. And I know that there are women who are in their careers and they suffer from this syndrome. Again, I can remember being the only female on an executive team, and we were under a lot of pressure. And I said, yeah, but you all have wives at home to go run your errands and do your shopping and plan your meals. And I am it. I have to take care of that and my job.
That's right.
And it was kind of a wake-up call for them. But I also wanted to re-emphasize what you said about women need to figure out who they are and what they want to do. And, do what's right for you and pursue the life that's right for you, whatever that may look like.
Right, but a lot of women are, but a lot of women are afraid to say, I don't want that promotion, or I'm not ready for it, or it's not my time, or whatever, because in a lot of instances, even where I was, if you said no, not now, you would never be asked again, ever, never. And so sometimes you take it just because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't take it. And then you're not prepared, or it's not what you want, but it's almost like the track that you're pushed into. And I did do that at one point, and I did take a promotion that I didn't even want. It turned out to be great, but I didn't even want it. I was a single mom with 2 kids who had the extra time to do this and this and this and this and this and be a mom. So I get it. And it's just, you just have to decide what's the best for you at that moment in time. It can change.
Absolutely. Powerful advice. And Judy, I know too that sometimes people go down the path and they can't see the forest for the trees. Can you think of a time when perhaps it was when you took that promotion, but a time when you got off track and you wished you'd known then what you now know? As I said, I often say I want the looks of my 20s and the wisdom of my 60s. But,
Well, I do know that many years ago, I decided I was going to have an online program. This is when everybody was first doing it. And I thought it sounded so cool. I'm just going to do this. And so somebody introduced me to someone, and we had a very long conversation, and he was going to be the one that's going to do all my technology and my support and the platforms and everything. I just had to create the content. And so we had this great conversation over a month. And what he had said originally was he wasn't sure if he really wanted to take on another client because he was, doing so well, blah, blah, blah. But he decided I was intriguing to him. And the day we were going to sign the contract, he backed out. And so I thought, oh my goodness, I can't even believe this. I don't know what to do next. Well, I happened to have a speaking engagement the next day, and in the audience was someone else in the same kind of business that this guy was. And so I told him what happened, and I told him everything, and I told him how much the man was going to charge me. And so he brings me a proposal the next day, and it's double the price. And so he says, what do you think? And I said, are you kidding me? His price was so high already. And he said, well, let me get out my magic eraser, honey. And so he starts making the eraser motions and he cuts it in half. Now, had I said yes, he would have taken the money. But anyway, it was a red flag. And I said, no, not interested. The next day, somebody said, I know exactly who you need to talk to. And he's wonderful. And he does this, 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 and this. So we talked on the phone and he really was saying everything I needed. And his price was less than the first guy and so on and so forth. And we met and he was really nice. Well, P.S., push comes to shove. No, it didn't work out at all. And he had taken my money and it was horrible. At the same time, I was trying to get married. Okay. So I had this over here, which was important to me because I was single for 19 years. And I thought, finally, I'm going to do something that is going to change my life because I'm going to have a partner now and so on and so forth. And my kids loved him. And that's the Colonel. And then on this side, I had this horrible experience. I didn't know what to do. And so I remember thinking, I can't go forward. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I am way off track of what I want to be doing and so on and so forth. And so what the Colonel said to me was, it's time to abort the mission. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And he said, you need to park it. He said, we want to get married. You can put this aside. We can do it after. And you just need to relax because this is getting you crazy. And I was ready to give up my company. That's how bad it was. So anyway, we parked it. We got married, everything was great. I go back to look at this and I start to get sick to my stomach. So I donated the entire platform to a women's organization for underserved women who would never have the ability to hire, to go to do anything that required any kind of financial commitment. I gave this to them. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I feel so much better because it was like this weight on me. So I was so far off track, but as soon as I did that, it brought me back to the generosity, the kindness, and everything that who I am. I totally disregarded this person ever again. I've never seen him, never heard from him, nothing. My attorney wanted me to file a lawsuit against him. I'm like, nope, that's blood money. Do not want it. I don't want it. And so that's what I did. So way off track, came right back to where I was supposed to be along a hard, long and winding road.
Wow, that's a powerful story. And I think it's a great illustration of you being true to your purpose and true to who you are. And, a couple of great nuggets there that I wanted to draw attention to was the fact that you said, you didn't want the money because it's blood money. And I so agree with that. When we take things like that and accept them in our lives, we're actually doing ourselves a disservice. And the fact that you gave it away was like moving it from a bad situation to a good situation. Right. So good for you. And I think sometimes we don't think about moving that equity from one side of the table to the other and changing the dynamic. Wow. But Judy, as you've gone through these incredible things that you've gone through, what gifts and talents do you think have sort of bubbled to the surface? How would you describe your strengths and how you're leveraging them right now?
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but Mr. Rogers, when he would come on every day, he would say to always look for the helpers. And when he would say that, I thought he was talking to me because I always helped people. So when I thought he was telling me, okay, you go out and you help people because they're going to find you. And I thought, okay, well, that's who I am. I'm a helper. And of course, he wasn't talking directly to me because there's a lot of helpers out there. But I thought that what I needed to do was to be the person that I needed when I started in business, or that I needed to help guide me where I was supposed to be. And so I think one of my gifts is that I'm a great listener and I'm a great student. And so when I do hear things, I'm able to disseminate, to figure out what it is that somebody's really looking for. And if it's not me, I have enough resources that I can move them to someone else. So it's not like I take people and take their money and do everything. And, that's not who I am. But I do know people and I do listen to people. And one of the things and I don't know how to really bottle this, but I've done panels with amazing women, just incredible women. And we had a reunion. We did a 12-week series, and we had a reunion, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that came back, and we had 48 speakers, and 95% of them came back. And there was this connection in this group. There was a connection, and people kept saying to me, this is like the most intimate setting I've ever been in. And there were hundreds of people. And I'm trying to, I think that's one of my gifts is, this connection and connecting people. And that's actually my word for 2021 is connection. It's about the heartfelt, the selfless, the strong connections. And if I could just bottle that and see how I could embrace all these, women that I work with and just give them the space that they need, provide that space, I think that's one of my gifts. I just have to figure out what that looks like.
I love that. I love that word, connection. And I think that, so many things are going to open up in your life as a result of that. But, putting that in context, what would you say is your big life goal, the big it that you are pursuing right now? Where is your road taking you as we go into 2021?
So in 2020, I lost 2/3 of my business on March 13th. All my live speaking, all my live coaching, and my live training, all of that just disappeared. And of course, I did what any professional woman would do. I cried and I went to bed. And so, but I had to give myself permission to grieve because that was 2/3 of my business. But I gave myself permission to do that for 30 minutes. And then I got up and I said, okay, what the heck are you going to do next? And so everything I did, I moved over to virtual. And one of the things, I've created roundtables for women, and I've created courses for women, and I do encourage men to be part of it as well, because we can't do this by ourselves. We just can't. We're not super women, and we shouldn't do it by ourselves. We should be incorporating it. But one of the things that I am looking forward to for 2021 is having a group of executive women as part of a group that I'm creating right now, where it's almost like your personal board of directors, and we come together and we talk about best practices, we do our challenges, we, whatever it is that we need at that moment. And, I've done a number of these before, and it's usually for entrepreneurs and it's for, mid-level. But now I do believe that the executive women are calling out and saying, okay, what about us? Because usually everybody starts here and then they go here if they have to. I started here because I knew these were the women that needed me the most. But now the executive women are raising their hands and saying, we need to be with you. So can you do something for us? And so that's my big it for 2021.
That's fabulous, Judy, because I think there are people out there that are hurting. There's people also who need this. And I know I've experienced that reunion that I was absolutely blessed that you invited me to, and it powerfully impacted me. So I think that you've definitely stumbled onto something magic. What else, as we sort of think about this, what would you like the listeners to remember about you as they sort of stop listening to this podcast? What do you want them to walk away with?
I think part of it is that, the mission of one woman a day, because I do think that is different and it is me, but also that I know there's something bigger than me that I'm being called to do. It's almost like, there's that whisper that you should be over here. So most of the people that meet me for the first time before they speak to me or anything, they all think that and this has been since I'm little, I'm unapproachable and I'm intimidating. And so one of the things that I would hope that listeners would remember about me is that I'm one of the most approachable people that you'll ever meet. And my goal is always to serve and support, serve and support, serve and support. So when you see me or when you see something that I do, just say hello, because that's what I want you to understand, that I am the most approachable person, even though most people say I'm not.
That's wonderful. It also goes to your self-image. As I said, I've got to know you and I know what a kind person you are and how good you are at connections. And certainly I'm blessed by having you in my circle. I said when in ReThink You, I said, I get to meet famous people, like Judy Hoberman. So what would you say as we close out here, Judy, what would you say that your life journey has made you an expert at?
Connections. I do. I think I do believe that that's what I have been called to do. That is my life journey, is to connect. And I remember, many years ago, I remember saying that, if I could just connect people to do that as a living, I would do it. But my mortgage company doesn't believe that that's really something that I should be doing, But really, I mean, if that would be, oh my goodness, I would love to do that. I would love to be able to just connect women to women or women to men. I would love to connect emerging leaders with executive women. I'd love to connect an entrepreneur, with a business owner. If I could just do that, that is what I would be doing every day, all day. So.
That's fabulous. And Judy, so how do people connect with you? What do you have any specials going on right now, or what's the path of engagement that you offer to people?
So right now I'm on every social media platform. I'm either under Selling in a Skirt or Judy Hoberman. I post every single day before 7 a.m. Central. And if I don't, I get phone calls asking if I'm okay, because I've been doing that for a long time. Right now we're doing a webinar almost every week on, it's called Skirt Strategy, and it's about women in sales. It's a free presentation. It's an hour long, and we give you a ton of information. So if you just follow me anywhere, you'll see it comes up all the time. And it's even on my header in Facebook and LinkedIn. You could just say, ask me how. So that's really what we're doing right now.
That's fabulous. Judy, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll make sure we have all your links in the show notes as well. So when people are listening to this, they know how to connect. And this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for making time. As we were just saying, we're all getting a little Zoom fatigued, but I think it's absolutely wonderful because it helps us really connect with an audience that we might not otherwise connect with. So Thank you for making the time today, Judy.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate it and can't wait to help you post this and promote it.
Yes. Thank you.